and welcome to Jesus Christ Prison Ministry and another video Bible study. Our topic, Deuteronomy chapter 14. You are the children of the Lord your God. Isn't that awesome? God who created us could have used us as robots, but instead, He wants us to be His children. He loves us so much that when we sinned and disobeyed against Him, He came down and paid the penalty. He took the beating for us. He took our death. Both Old and New Testament, nothing has changed. God wants us as His children. And because He wants us to be a part of His family, we must learn the rules of living in that family. He can't have rebellious children in His house. So therefore, we must learn how to live according to His rules, the Ten Commandments. And like any family, there are rules that we need to follow to be a part of that family. Do not cut yourselves or shave the front of your heads for the dead, for you are a people holy to the Lord your God. Out of all the peoples on the face of the earth, the Lord has chosen you to be His treasured possession. God doesn't want His treasured possession to be all cut up, tattooed, scarred. Even if we think it's beautiful, even if we, whatever the reason, we are to do nothing to attract attention to us. All praise, honor, and glory are to go to God. He created us. He died for us. He redeemed us. We have nothing in and of ourselves to be proudful about. When we lift our lives to Jesus and glorify Him through our lives, then we have purpose and meaning. Do not eat any detestable thing. These are the animals you may eat: the ox, the sheep, the goat, the deer, the gazelle, the roe deer, the wild goat, the ibex, the antelope, and the mountain sheep. You may eat any animal that has a split hoof divided in two and that chews the cud. However, of those that chew the cud, or that have a split hoof completely divided, you may not eat the camel, the rabbit, or the coney. Although they chew the cud, they do not have a split hoof. They are ceremonially unclean for you. The pig is also unclean. Although it has a split hoof, it does not chew the cud. You are not to eat their meat or touch their carcasses. God wants the best for us. It was impossible to talk to the Israelites about viruses, diseases, okay? To tell them about cholesterol count, heart attacks, they would have had no understanding. So God took His health principles and encased them in religious context, unclean. The whole concept is those animals, insects, birds that are unclean are scavengers, animals that spread diseases. The animals that are clean for us to eat are vegetarian. How important. The original diet for man was vegetarian. After all, before sin, nothing died. Without death, you cannot eat meat. And so it will be in heaven. Only vegetarians will be in heaven. There will be no death. And so, down here, after sin, God prefers that we live a vegetarian diet in order to be His treasured possession, so that our bodies will be healthy and clean. Meat today is so filthy in the way that their meat is raised. We need to do everything in our power to move away from animal products and return to the original diet that God gave us: fruits, nuts, grains, and vegetables. Of all the creatures living in the water, you may eat any that has fins and scales, but anything that does not have fins and scales you may not eat, for it is unclean. Even the ocean is getting filthy. The fish are being contaminated. All that sinful man does is contaminate. We need to turn our lives over to God and live to be his treasured possession. You may eat any clean bird, but these you may not eat: the eagle, the vulture, the black vulture, the red kite, the black kite, any kind of falcon, any kind of raven, the horned owl, the screech owl, the gull, any kind of hawk, the little owl, the great owl, the white owl, the desert owl, the osprey, the cormorant, the stork, any kind of heron, the hoopoe, and the bat. Again, these are vultures. These are carnivorous. Okay? They can spread diseases. All flying insects that swarm are unclean to you. Do not eat them. But any winged creature that is clean you may eat. Do not eat anything you find already dead. You may give it to an alien living in any of your towns, and he may eat it. Or you may sell it to a foreigner, but you are a people holy to the Lord your God. There is to be a difference between God's people and the world. We are not to follow the world. Those who follow the world will be destroyed with the world. It is our duty as God's peculiar people to show the world a better way of living and to let them know that we actually believe in a heaven to win and a hell to lose, that we want to belong to the heavenly family. Do not cook a young goat in its mother's milk. Be sure to set aside 1/10 of all that your fields produce each year. Eat the tithe of your grain, new wine, and oil, and the firstborn of your herds and flocks in the presence of the Lord your God, at the place he will choose as a dwelling for his name, so that you may learn to revere the Lord your God always. But if that place is too distant, and you have been blessed by the Lord your God and cannot carry your tithe because the place where the Lord will choose to put his name is too far away, then exchange your tithe for silver, and take the silver with you, and go to the place the Lord your God will choose. Use silver to buy whatever you like: cattle, sheep, wine, and other fermented drink, or anything you wish. Then you and your household shall eat there in the presence of the Lord your God and rejoice. And do not neglect the Levites living in your towns, for they have no allotment or inheritance of their own. At the end of every 3 years, bring all the tithes of that year's produce and store it in your towns, so that the Levites, who have no allotment or inheritance of their own, and the aliens, the fatherless, and the widows who live in your towns may come and eat and be satisfied, and so that the Lord your God may bless you in all the work of your hands. The principle is very simple. The Bible's very plain that the more we give, the more we receive. As we do to others, so God will do to us. You know, a lake that is selfish and only takes in, eventually it becomes a dead lake, a salton sea. But a lake that takes in and gives, it's a live lake. It has life. It's a beautiful lake. Our lives are to receive from God the blessings he gives us, and we are to share them with others. We're not to hoard them. We're not to mine, take. What good is it? The only good we have is what we share with others, what we live for others and do. Let us use what God has given us for the glory of his name in blessing those that are less fortunate than us, who cannot repay us. I want to thank you for being with me and Jesus Christ for another video Bible study.